Welcome to the Evermoore Wedding Vendor Show, where we interview local wedding vendors to learn a little more about their business, so that us fellow vendors can get to know each other better, and so that brides and grooms who are planning their weddings are able to get to know vendors who they might want to hire for their wedding. And just a reminder, we are still practicing with the live editing, so if things aren't quite right on the show, we're still working on it. Today, we have Gina Moore from Moore Decor and Party Rentals, who is a local rentals company on our wedding vendor directory. And so we wanted to have Gina on the show to introduce herself and her business a little bit. So welcome to the show, Gina.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate you letting me come on here and the opportunity to be able to talk about my business.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you tell our listeners and watchers on YouTube a little bit about your business and how you got started?
Okay. So I've been in business. I'm about a week away from 3 years of being in business, and it started just after the COVID shutdown. I have 2 daughters, and so we've had lots of parties because every time they had an event, they wanted a party. And way back when, they're much older now, but way back when, you couldn't really rent anything except tables and chairs. So I bought everything, and I just had storage units filled with decor. So my family would just use it whenever they wanted. And at one point, I was trying to consolidate, and my daughter said, "Why don't you try renting?" And I thought, well, who's going to rent? Who rents stuff like this, right?
Who wants to rent all my stuff?
Who wants all this stuff? And they said, no, people will rent it. They don't want to go out and buy and then have to try to resell it. Just try to rent it.
Oh my gosh, like all the Facebook groups are just so full of that. Hey, I bought this, I'm selling it. I bought this, I'm selling it.
And it's all the same stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So I said, okay, I'm going to give it a try. Let's just see what happens. And so I'm not very good at social media. I mean, I'm in my early 50s, so this is not my thing. So I told my daughter, Megan, you're going to have to do the social media, and Haley, you're going to have to help me. And they did. They ran all my social media for me. I just did the business end of it, and it literally just took off. People were so excited to come in. They said it was like they were shopping, but this was just at a storage unit at a storage facility.
Okay, so you started literally just like renting out of the storage unit?
Literally out of a storage unit. Yes. Yeah.
Oh man.
Crazy. But that one storage unit, we went from one to another, to a bigger one, to another. When I finally got to the point where I told my husband, I think I need to get a 4th storage unit, he was like, no, you need a warehouse.
Right?
So we did. We dove in and got a warehouse, and it was kind of small, but it was still a warehouse. Everything was in one place, and it grew so fast. We were only there for 6 months.
Oh my gosh.
And now, a year and a half after that, I have 2 huge warehouses.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's grown in 3 years to 2 huge warehouses and a lot of shopping, which is great. I love it. I can shop for whatever I want, and I just tell my husband it's for the business.
It's a business expense. It's like unlimited shopping, right? I try to do that with cameras and lenses. You know, like, oh well, it's a business expense, but you know, at some point you're like, okay, no. Do you really need? At one point, I had like 14 cameras, you know, and I'm just like, do I really need all of this? I finally had to sell some stuff, you know.
Oh no!
I had a warehouse. I was keeping everything in. You know, I had to.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, not like a storage warehouse. Like we had a studio. We had a warehouse. We built a studio in and stuff. But we finally closed that down because it was just like, this is not making any money. So anyway. But yeah, I had so much equipment. I had to pare it down finally. But
when you're passionate about something,
yeah,
you want to do it all the time. So I'm sure you would see things and go, I want to try that, and I want that.
Yeah,
really easy. Yeah.
Mike, my main guy, would always come in and be like, pick something off the shelf. Josh, like, we haven't used this in years. And I'm like, but we might need it. So, like, I'm a total hoarder. Like, we might need that someday. He's just like, you need to sell this, you know? And so anyway, so thank you, Mike.
That's kind of how I feel sometimes when I have people come in and I think, I hope they don't think I'm a hoarder, but really it's all party stuff. And see, I have the stuff that goes out every weekend for weddings, but then I have those things for like a 20s party or a fiesta or a, barnyard party. So I have to keep those because once in a while those parties come around and I need to have that stuff. So I can be a hoarder without really being a hoarder. Nobody really knows.
Right.
I'm an organized hoarder.
Hey, there you go. I was a disorganized hoarder. We were always like, where is this? Every time we go to look for something, it's like, where is it? Well, it was on the shelf last week. Well, it's not there now. I don't know. And now that we closed the studio and I'm back to working, from home, my garage is stuffed, and my poor wife is always like, can you clean up so we can walk? So we're
houses. My garage is still like that.
Yeah. It's a work in progress. But you at least get to make money renting yours, which is smarter than what I'm doing right now. So I rent my gear too, but but I don't have parties and event decor that more people want to rent. Just a few other random video guys want to rent my stuff. So it's not, anyway.
And it's fun.
Talk about a rabbit trail. So okay, you've been doing this for 3 years.
Yes.
So I feel like I have heard about your company for longer than 3 years. So whatever, like whatever you guys have been doing on social media and everything, it's definitely working.
Well, that I have to credit to one of my daughters, Haley, did it for about a good year, and then she had a baby.
Okay.
So my daughter Megan took over, and she's just exceptional at doing anything on social media. And a lot of it, of course, comes with age. I mean, this is a younger generation, so they know what goes on Instagram. I don't even have a personal Instagram, so I don't do any of that. Facebook's the best I can do. But she knows what needs to be on there. Like it's really important for people to understand that nowadays, everything is social media.
Oh, yeah.
It used to be you have to go advertise and put posters up. It is all social media. And when you're an older generation starting a new business, you really need someone younger to kind of help you and say, you got to make it where people want to see it. This is what's in. So I credit all of that to my daughters because they're the ones that they did it. Not me. They did that part.
Right. So someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that's great. So you've been doing this for 3 years. I'm thinking now with the lens of, okay, I'm someone who's planning an event and I'm looking for some rentals. What sorts of things do you guys rent?
Okay. So we have, let me say what we don't have first, because I think that might be easier. We don't do tables and chairs, like the regular tables and chairs where you get 20 tables and 200 chairs. And we no longer do linens, but we still do like the runners for the tables and the pretty overlays and things like that. We did linens for a good couple of years, and then the business got so big we couldn't keep up. So now we go through some of our favorite vendors to get our linens from, and it's much easier. But we have specialty furniture, a lot of furniture, like love seats and specialty chairs for sweetheart tables. And we have a lot of vintage stuff because I love vintage. I really have to work hard to buy modern items, which I've been doing, but I'm just not, I don't love modern, but I know customers love modern stuff. So I have to push myself to buy the modern things. So we have dressers that we use for like guest tables or for dessert bars. And we have lots of different kinds of tables for sweetheart tables or cake tables. We have everything you can think of for centerpieces. Okay. And the floor we work with make them look even more fabulous. It's crazy. We have charger plates and we have goblets. And I mean, we literally have down to candlesticks, like hundreds and hundreds of candlesticks. Lots of candlesticks, yeah. But we have things where we can do like a full quinceañera. We can do weddings up to like 200, 250. But we can also do small parties. Like we have barnyard parties and we have whimsical parties and fairy parties and carnival. We have cotton candy machines and snow cone and popcorn and a bunch of things like that. So lots of Western theme, rustic. I mean, my gosh. And whatever I don't have, I have an event planner that I work with, and it's Amanda with Whimsical Events. Okay. And she's in the front office and I'm in the warehouse. And so when she talks to her brides, they'll say, like, I really want this. And she'll say, I can get Gina to buy it. Right. Next thing you know, there I am out there shopping for whatever they need. So usually whatever I don't have, if I have enough time, I'll go out and get it. I'll just go out and get it. Yeah, I know. It's crazy, but it's fun. It makes people...
So brides and grooms, if you're listening, that means that if there's anything that you want, just go to Gina and she will buy it for you. Then you can rent it from her.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you have like a 30-foot T-Rex?
I could get one.
There we go. That's the right answer.
But I do have a T-Rex, but not that big.
Well, okay. What do you have then?
Oh, I have lots of dinosaur stuff.
Okay, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. I'm sure you use that for the kids' parties.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool. Or is it like a realistic, like Jurassic Park scary T-Rex?
No, it's a stuffed. I have like those big giant stuffed animals, like the giraffe and the lion and all those. Oh,
fun.
And a T-Rex. I know.
Super cool. Super fun.
Yeah.
Do you rent out just like individual pieces? Like if someone's like, hey, can I just rent your T-Rex for a party?
Yeah, absolutely. So
perfect.
I have parties that are, let's say 2, 3, 4 items. Like last weekend, I just rented a vintage high chair. That was it.
Oh, cool.
But I have weddings coming up this weekend for up to 200 people. So I have people that are helping me and working. They work during the day in my warehouse while I'm at my regular job.
Nice.
Packing all the parties. And then they unpack. Come Monday, they're unpacking and then repacking on Tuesday. And so it's a process. It just keeps going. And every week it's fun because every customer's different, every style, every look that they want. And I don't usually go out and set up events. If somebody really wants me to, I can, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here just as a rental company. But my customers are so incredibly amazing. I work with several event planners. They make my rentals look like the most fabulous rentals. And my customers who aren't even, they're not even educated in event planning or design, and they don't have an experience. They're just customers. They make my stuff look like the event planners do sometimes.
Nice.
It's pretty amazing. So a lot of the things that you see on my Instagram or Facebook, a lot of that was put together by customers, but most of it by the event planners that I work with. And so I do get a lot of not only event planners, but I get a lot of photographers who come out and rent things from me for their setups. Yeah, because they can make everything different. So that's kind of fun too. That
is super fun.
Yeah.
As I'm looking at my next question, Gina, could you just tilt your camera a tiny bit more? Just to recenter yourself. Yeah, there we go. We're getting excited. And we're just moving. And okay, so we talked about the different styles you offer. We talked about, the fact that you have just about everything under the sun available to rent, which is amazing. So, I mean, like, normally we'll talk about like, okay, how do you tailor your service to brides? But I'm just like, well, you have everything. So like it's tailored. And if you don't have it, you'll go buy it.
Yeah. One thing I would say though, is that even though I'm just a rental company, when a bride calls me, most of the time, if they don't have a planner, they don't know what they're doing. It's no fault of theirs. They just don't know because they haven't seen what's available.
Right.
So I usually spend a lot of my time with that customer, helping them literally to design what they want according to their Pinterest board. They all have a Pinterest board. It's so fun.
Right.
But I'll help them and we lay everything out. And how about this with this or this with that? So even though I'm not an event planner, and I will never be because it's a lot of hard work,
right?
I still am helping them plan with my rentals.
So you help kind of help plan the decor side of things, like here, let's set up a table and see what works, that kind of thing. Okay.
All the time, yeah. I go to Amanda for a lot of things because she's in the front office. I'm like, Amanda, will this go? And she's like, yeah, that will go. So I kind of have to use her once in a while because that's not my thing, but it's great because it's a good partnership that she's there to help me so I can help the customers.
Yeah, that's awesome. I definitely have people I ask for things because there's things I'm not good at, like running my Instagram, and I'm like, honey, because my wife is amazing at that, and I'm just like, honey, can you do this? I'll like start making a post of like, is this good? And she's like, no.
Oh my gosh, I do the same thing. Sometimes Megan will say, don't do anything. Don't touch the Instagram.
Just leave it alone. Yeah, that's good. That is fun. Okay, well, so one thing I actually want to touch on is I'm hearing in what you're saying that you have successfully in 3 years built a business that allows you to work your full-time job that you enjoy while running this business, and you have people in the business who are taking care of things for you. So how is that?
Yeah, so I work at a school full-time. I've been here almost 25 years. I work in a middle school. I have do not disturb signs on my doors right now, so my students aren't in here.
There you go.
But usually my room is packed with kids. And I love my job. I don't want to leave here until it's time to retire. So I still have a few years left. But in the meantime, I have been able to start this business completely self-funded. The money from the business went right back into the business. So it is, for me, it was a goal to get to that point where I could be at work and know that my business was running and I wasn't even there. So I have a lot of people that have helped me get to that point. So I can't take all of the credit for that. But I have my husband who helps me, both of my daughters, but I have 3 delivery drivers. I have an assistant. I have Amanda who helps me with everything. I have a team of people who want to see me succeed. And I think that's the secret to the whole thing. So I wouldn't be able to do it without everybody. But to give myself a tiny pat on the back, I go from work every day to the warehouse and then home to do invoices. So it is a long 12, 13-hour day for me almost every weekday. Wow. It's a lot of work. But once I'm ready to retire from the school, I will only work at the business. So I'm just preparing it so that I'll have that only to work on. That
is super fun.
Yeah.
Super fun. Well, good job. Good job on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? One more thing on that.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of my students know about my business. So their parents are constantly calling me because they're like, Mom, you need to go to Mrs. Moore because she has all this stuff. And then my students' parents end up calling me and I do so many of their parties. It's kind of cool.
Right. It's like built-in marketing.
It
is. Yeah. Be like, in wedding video, I should like work at a jewelry store or something. Like, hey, you're buying a ring, here's a card. That's fun. Well, cool. That's actually a great point to segue to a quick break from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Evermoore Wedding Vendor Directory, which is a directory on our website where we have over 1,000 local wedding vendors listed, and you can go find them and use them for your events. More Decor Party Rentals is one of those vendors, so we have 1,000 other vendors. I was actually just on. We have like 1,050-ish now, so wow. It just keeps growing.
Wow, and incredible!
And then our second sponsor is Story King Studios, which is my other company. We have Evermoore Films, where we do wedding videos, and then we also have Story King Studios, which is where we help businesses and brands tell their story, and we do video marketing for companies, and it's a lot of fun, and we love doing that. So those are the sponsors for the episode today. If you would like to sponsor an episode, any of the listeners here, just let us know, and we can get you on as a sponsor for the show. Let's see here. Okay, so 3 years in business, rentals. I am sure that you've had some great funny stories, and I'm sure you've had some horror stories in this business. So what's a good story or two you'd like to share?
I really haven't had many horror stories.
Really? That's great.
Yeah. In 3 years,
I mean, it's horrible for the listeners because we don't have a horror story to listen to now, but that's fantastic for you.
Well, for 3 years being in business, I've only had maybe 2 times that something was really damaged, where you could tell they were just careless. But otherwise, my customers are amazing. They know their rentals, they take care of things, they return them. I really, my family laughs at me because every time a customer comes in and I meet with them, I go home and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's like the sweetest ever. You're like, Is everybody the sweetest ever? But they are. My customers are happy. They're coming in for parties and weddings and really fun things. I do have some that come in for rentals for funerals, and that's a little difficult.
Right.
But, it's necessary. But even then, I have the best customers ever. They
That's
are
cool.
truly nice and sweet, and they care about my things. But I don't know. I don't have horror stories. I really don't have anything bad that has happened.
Darn.
I have a lot of
No.
I know.
No. That's great.
Really bad thing to say, but I
Yeah.
have had a few customers who, how do I say this without them seeing this and going, "Oh my gosh, she's talking about me."
That's right. Keep it anonymized.
I have a few customers who I basically have done every single thing for them without being the bride.
Okay.
Like, they just can't quite get it together. And I don't complain. I just do it. But sometimes they come in and they're like, I don't know what to do. What do I do here? I need to change this. What do I do here? And, event planners get paid for that. That's what they come to them for.
When you're just event planning for free.
For free, yeah. So if that's the worst it is, then I think I'm doing good.
Right.
But I do have customers. The good part is, so I will get a customer who, I have several of them. I do their bridal shower, then I do their wedding, then I do their baby shower, and then I do their first, all of this in 3 years. It's
nice.
like, oh my gosh, we're already at your kid's first birthday, and I did your bridal shower to begin with. So
That's
they
fun.
keep coming back. A lot of repeat customers, and it's just super cool to watch their growth, and like, wow, now we're doing your kids' party. This is super cool. Yeah, so that's really fun,
That is fun. And being able to do repeat business is always fun, not just from a business like cash flow perspective, but from a relationship perspective. Like we don't get that as much in weddings. Like sometimes we're doing siblings and and things, and that's always super fun. When we do have a sibling or someone come back. It's usually not a second marriage, usually a sibling. And I laugh. I'm like, I've been doing this since 2003. So like, I've been doing this for long enough that I could have a bride I did and come back and and do her daughter's wedding. Like, I'm like, that's weird. That I'm like, I'm old enough and I've done this long enough that I could do like a previous bride's daughter's wedding now. It hasn't happened yet, but that'd be fun. I was totally going somewhere with that, and I don't even remember where I was going with that. But just that whole idea of relationships. So we don't get a lot of that in weddings for us because other than people referring a friend or a sibling, we're usually not. Actually, I take that back. We see a lot of previous couples at weddings, right? Because it's Bakersfield. Everybody knows everybody. And so it's like every other wedding we go to, we're like, oh, hey, there's so-and-so. We did your wedding 5 years ago or whatever. Because, someone knows someone, and whether they recommended them or not, like you should recommend us. But regardless of that, like, we'll see past couples and stuff. So that's always fun.
That's really fun.
Yeah. But we get more of that in the corporate, world where we have, like I have a client that I've worked with for like 14 years. So it's like we go back every year and make more videos for them. And it's like just super fun seeing, them progress and, and stuff. It's actually a school. And so we see the programs progress and all this. So it's super fun.
Yeah. It's great to have relationships like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So let's talk about advice for couples, right? Because I can tell this is something that you enjoy, right?
I love it. So
if you're talking to a potential couple who is planning their wedding, or maybe it's a quince or whatever, some sort of event, so a potential client planning an event, let's maybe say bride and groom for a wedding, because that's probably the more common one. And what advice would you have for them just in general about how should they, be thinking? What should they be thinking about? What should they be budgeting for rentals, all of that kind of stuff?
Well, I think the first thing that they need to do is, I know that they go through the route of securing their DJ and their venue and their florist and all of those things. But it's just as important to secure your rentals ahead of time. Like I have orders that are already set for next November. That's how far. Next November, 2025.
Okay.
So
So let me just jump in with a question there. How far in advance should people book their rentals?
um, it depends on how much they're getting, but if they see something and they're like, I have to have that, if they, like, I tell customers who come in and they want to secure something a year out, I don't know if I'm still going to have that love seat a year out because things can happen, right?
That's true.
Yeah, but sometimes they just like to secure having their rentals, and I tell them to come in, at least start looking around at 6 months. At least come in, take a look around, because I have customers come in and they walk around. A lot of times they say, can you send me pictures? It is a lot better if you walk in. I have aisles and aisles of stuff you can look at, but at least 6 months in advance, and then at least maybe 4 or 5 months before, secure those rentals, if not sooner. If they have a planner, the planner knows. They'll tell them when to go secure the rentals.
Right.
But if you're doing it on your own, you have to shop around. It's just like anything else, because my prices aren't the same as the next vendor or the big guys, that have been around forever. Do you want to go through a private vendor, or do you want to go to the big guys? You really have to shop around to see what it is that you want. My stuff is so unique and eclectic that you could pick out the exact candlesticks you want on your sweetheart table. You could pick out exactly how you want your memory table to look. Those are just really, you're not going to be able to go to the big guys and find these little unique special items.
I gotcha.
And I had Colleen from Fairy Godmother come in, and she was looking around for the very first time. And when she left, she said, I just wish I had a bag so I could go shopping. I feel like I need to just shop for this stuff. Because, it's all organized and on shelves, and it's kind of fun to go through and see all these little things that I pick up here and there. But when you have your event, those are the things that make it unique to everything else. Everybody does the wood round with the 3 glass cylinders and the candles and the centerpiece. And it's beautiful. And I love that. But when you come up with something else that's really unique that we've gone through and you've picked out, no one else has that look. And you can find those things from us.
Okay.
And it's super, super fun. I have these really old vintage suitcases, and I had a customer recently who, she went with her fiance, and they eloped out of town in the woods somewhere. It was beautiful. And then they came to town and they had a reception. It was gorgeous, but they used the old-fashioned vintage suitcases as a side table. And it was just so cool. Like, you just can't find that anywhere. And the ideas you get by coming in, if you start off early enough, when you start planning your wedding, you remember like what I have. You start going, I remember seeing this. We could actually put this together and that together. So if they can come in early and just look around.
Come in and get ideas.
And then go back and think about what you want to do. It really does help, because there's so much to look at. Most customers who come and see me, they spend about an hour looking around.
Okay.
At least an hour. Yeah. There's that stuff to look at, and then I go, now let's go to the other warehouse. So yeah, it's a lot.
Oh,
but
man.
It will help them to think of what they want to do and how they can accomplish what's on their Pinterest board, because that's the first question I ask. You have a Pinterest board, right? And they do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's so are you like, show me your Pinterest board? Okay, come over here and look at this.
Yes, that's exactly what I do. Yeah, that helps me a ton, because now I can see their vision. Like, this is what they want. And a lot of times, if I don't have it, my husband will build it. I just had someone this weekend. They want a half grass wall with shelves to put behind the bar because Amanda's doing a wedding, and that's what she wanted. So I went home and I was like, Amanda's going to call you. So I was like, you're going to have to call my husband because I'm not asking. And he built it, and it's beautiful, and she's going to use it this weekend.
Nice.
So you can custom make some things, depending on what they are. And it's just kind of fun to have original stuff at your wedding that doesn't all look the same. And that's what they can get from us.
Okay. Well, that's super helpful just to understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question couples are asking is, okay, how much? So before we talk about pricing, just in general, just the category of rentals and things, what should couples be thinking about budgeting in general?
I mean, really, it depends on their budget, of course, but I am super reasonable. The whole reason I agreed when my daughter said you need to start this rental business, my number one goal was to be a reasonable rental company.
Okay.
So people could afford to have beautiful events without breaking their budget completely. Because my daughters are both teachers. They are just middle of the road, average people like I am. And to have an event, it takes a long time to save to have something grand.
Yeah.
But I want people to be able to have those things now and be able to afford it. So, I'm not going to break the bank. And I've had a lot of customers that have come in and they're like, I really want this look. How can I do this? This is my budget. And I go, we'll make it work, because that's what fills my cup. I feel good when I know that a customer comes back and says, my daughter was so happy with her event. It makes me feel so good, because I think about my own kids. Like, yeah, I want my kids to be able to do the same thing.
Right.
So I try to give them, what they want within a good budget. I mean, reasonable, I should say.
Right. Right.
Can't fit everybody's budget. Sometimes they want a lot for nothing, but
Right.
very reasonable. I get a lot of people that say we were really surprised at the price when we got the quote. And that makes me happy, because I don't want them to go and say we can't afford it,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Very cool. So then, not to, there's lots of different options. There's different companies, right? You have, the big rental companies, and what you do is different, than what they do, which is great. Just like, we would say, hey, there's multiple videographers, but what we do is different than what so-and-so and so-and-so, like we're all different, it's a creative thing. So, and it sounds very much kind of that way with you. Like, it's definitely that more kind of creative thing, which is fun. So if couples are looking around for rentals and they're, maybe kind of comparing some of the more big box, just other, who your competition, the other rental companies, what would you say to couples, as they're thinking through, do we work with so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so?
So like I said before, I think that they should shop around. Your wedding is no different than buying something for your house. You're still spending the money on a product that you want in return.
Right.
And most people are going to go out and they're going to check the price of these. They're either going to go to this place, point A or point B, and decide which one are we getting good product at a reasonable price. But what I always tell my customers is this. I think, just my personal opinion, the number one thing when looking for a vendor is communication. If they aren't communicating with you, that's going to be a problem, and it's going to continue to be a problem. And I've seen that happen. And unfortunately, they either don't have the time to put towards that, or they don't care. I don't know which one, but it doesn't matter, because your customer should be number one. And I work all day long, so I have an assistant, and I'm like, hey, you got to answer these messages when I'm at work, because no matter what, you should be answering your messages. These people are reaching out. They need something. They're planning, and you need to communicate with them. So sometimes I send out quotes as late as midnight, and I'll tell them, turn off your notifications, because I'm up late sending messages, but no matter what, I will always communicate with my customers. It doesn't matter what time of day. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is. I think that's the number one thing when you're looking for a vendor. Find someone who will communicate with you, because otherwise you can't make changes. You can't ask them questions, It's important. And they should all have a contract. It's not only good for the vendors, but it's good for the customer.
Yes.
Because now you can hold them liable and say, no, you said this. I have so many customers who come to me and say, we went through them and they didn't provide, and there's no contract.
Wow.
So there's no way to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
So communication contracts, I think, are two of the most important things. Yeah. And a lot of people don't think about that. They just, I'll rent it and I'll bring it back. And no, it's a service, and it's items that you're renting, and you have to save yourself from being able to be liable to.
Well, yeah. So. And who's to say that, just to kind of flip that story, it's like, who's to say the rental company's not going to be like, well, we gave you 12 chairs and you only brought back 10. And you're like, what? Like contracts are for mutual protection. It's for everybody.
100%.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It boggles my mind when I talk to people and they're like, oh yeah, I don't do contracts. I'm like, what? Like, that's just 101. Like,
I know.
I don't have
crazy thought.
I don't do contracts. I don't have insurance. I'm not licensed. I'm like, what?
No,
What?
no.
What? Like, what?
I know. And you have to have insurance. Like, you can't even take your product into most venues without providing that insurance to them.
Right. Right.
You know, but there are several who do not have it. They just don't. I don't even know how they function as a business.
I know. And it's funny. There's only, I'll just say it. There's only 2 venues in town that ever ask us for our insurance. And it's the same venues every time. There's only 2.
It's probably the same 2 that I'm always asked as well.
And, you know, and on one hand, I'm always like, well, okay, I gave that to you like a week ago. Why don't you have that on file? But on the other hand, I'm like, thank you for asking, because I cannot believe how few people ask for insurance. And I'm like, I take this very seriously. I carry a good insurance policy because like we're doing business, and I don't want something to happen at a wedding and we're like, oh, well, I didn't have the insurance. And like, it's like, who's to say, you know, I mean, you have weddings, you have people, you have alcohol, you have everyone having a good time, you got kids running around. Like this is a recipe for things to go wrong and people to get hurt and things to happen. And like, this is why insurance exists. So
and with your business, you spend a lot of time backing up. Literally, it's like driving a car in reverse. You can't see behind you. You don't know what's going to happen.
Oh,
you knock someone over. You have to have it. Nobody thinks about those little things, but it's super important for a business to have that insurance.
Oh yeah. We're walking backwards all the time.
Yes.
Workers' comp. It just randomly reminded me, like years ago, I saw this hilarious, horrible, like Instagram reel of this, you know, it's the ceremony, right? And the couple's like doing their recessional, and the photographer and the videographer are both walking backwards. And for whatever reason, someone put the cake at the end of the aisle.
Oh no.
And the videographer just backs in and knocks the cake over. And I'm like,
oh no.
I'm like, who put that cake there? Number one. Number two, why weren't you looking? Like,
oh my gosh.
Total. Yeah. Anyway.
I would die. I would die.
Oh man.
Oh,
well, like
I just had go ahead.
I was just gonna say, how many weddings do we have to like move the cake? And it's always like, can you help move the cake? Like, yes, I'll help, but it's not my fault. We've never dropped a cake. But anyway, what were you gonna say?
We recently had a customer come in, and they wanted to put their cake on the dessert table. This was not one of my events. This was just something they had told me had recently happened.
Okay.
They had their cake on the dessert table with the other desserts, and when they went to cut their cake, somebody had literally cut a slice out of their cake because they thought it was part of the desserts. I know. I'm like, oh my gosh. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's with cakes. I'm like, don't put it on the dessert table. Keep it separate. But, but out of the way, please.
Like,
we don't want the videographer.
The big white cape with a topper on it. Like, oh yeah, that's for everybody. Like,
they cut a slice out, a whole slice out of the cake.
That,
but they had to turn it so you couldn't see it in the picture. And the bride was so upset and crying. It was just so bad.
That's when the DJ gets on the mic and is like, all right, who ate the cake? Oh man, you see some guy slinking off in the corner. Like, come on, get up, honey, we're leaving. Oh my gosh, that is funny.
That's funny.
Oh man. Okay. Final question. Okay. What other vendors would you like to see us have on the show?
Oh, okay. I can give you several.
Okay, great.
I have to first plug my daughter, Megan.
Yes.
She is Content Creator Co. And she's amazing, and she's super witty and funny. She'll be so good on the show. I mean, I just answer questions. Megan's funny, like to talk to, and she's a 6th grade teacher, so she knows how to get it done. So I think she would be fantastic to have on your show.
I'm pretty sure we already invited her, so.
Probably so. I haven't even talked to her. She doesn't even know I'm on today. We've been so busy. I didn't even tell her. So she's going to be shocked.
We lost you there.
Yeah, sorry, I was low battery, but I'm going to plug it in. Hold on.
Yeah, that's all right. We're wrapping it up.
The other one is Amanda with Whimsical Events, because
yes.
I mean, I've been with her for a long time, and she's amazing, and she would be fun to have on the show.
Yeah.
And then, have you had Juliana home yet, the florist?
I know that we have invited her. I don't know if she's scheduled yet. We just sent out a batch of invites, and I know we were talking to her.
She's the best florist I've ever had. I mean, she has done so many events for Amanda and my customers.
Yeah.
But she did Megan's wedding like a month ago.
Okay.
It was like, I can't even believe flowers look like that. She's amazing. Like, I don't even know where that creativity comes from in a person, but she would be incredible to have on the show. And then there's people like really fun balloon girls, like Izzy B. Izzy B Balloons. She would be fun to have on the show.
Perfect.
And you already had Courtney Antwine on there.
Yeah.
Madison from the Collective would be cool. I mean, she's got so much going on. She would be a really good one.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I could literally go on and on. There's photographers. There's
oh yeah. Well, I mean, the way we look at it, we've got over 1,000 vendors on the directory, so we'll have them all on the show. And by the time we've had all 1,000 of them, it'll be time to start over and have everyone on a second time. So,
yeah, or there'll be new people.
Oh yeah, yeah, and there'll be new people too. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, very cool. Thank you for being on, Gina. Why don't you let everyone know how they can get in touch with you?
Okay, perfect. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And you can go to our Instagram. See, I'm not good at this part, but I think it's more Decor _party rentals. I think Megan does all this stuff. Or you can actually text me on my cell phone, 661-203-2424. You can also email more Decor party rentals at gmail.com. I don't take any customers like at the warehouse daily. It has to be by appointment because we're not always there. But I would love to show you around our warehouses or talk to you, text with you, call you, whatever.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on the show, Gina, sharing a little bit of your knowledge and some fun stories.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I enjoyed talking with you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode of the show, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.